It is April 11th, 2021. I'm doing lessons 161 and 162. So, I didn't do 161 because I got pretty inebriated last night. Now, there's a reason I'm doing this together because the epiphanies that I've been having. Now, I want you guys to understand that I'm not anything special, right? I just happen to be very dedicated to what you would call my craft, right? I write like endlessly, and I have like millions of notebooks with millions of notes. Now, why am I telling you this? Because what I've always advocated for specifically has been vulnerability and truth. Okay, so I try to be as vulnerable as possible. Try to give my experience with entheogens, with the Kundalini yoga, the meditation, the releasing, even when I fail, right? And what I've learned specifically last night was that I do this alone, right? This is why it's so difficult for me because I don't really ask for any help at all. So last night, I was just having like a heart-to-heart, right, with a family friend of ours. And, at the beginning, it was very difficult, right? So for the lesson of 161, it says, "Give me your blessing, Holy Son of God," right? So, it's just, drinking with my parents. I'm a bartender, so I was making them drinks. And the lesson says, stand against anger, right? Fear disappears and it leaves room for love. So when we feel like we can't be forgiven or that we sin, right, we look at ourselves as different fragments, right? These are split personalities. The day prior, right, April 9th, I mentioned the movie Me, Myself, and Irene, where Jim Carrey, the protagonist, Charlie, has an alter ego of Hank, right, to overcompensate for all his grievances, all the, mishaps and the tragedies that's happened to him, right? He needed to find that strength within himself, right? So what happens is that we identify so much with the body that we start suffering with it, right? Because the body is, again, it's the lowest part in terms of we would call the physical realm, right? Because we have different bodies, right? We're spirits or ghosts in this meat flesh, this mechanism, okay, this carcass. And when we attack people, we're attacking their body, right? Like, that's what we're trying to do. Like, we call people fat or, like, not beautiful, old, whatever it may be, right? And the intent to hurt someone, right, is seeing, them as something that we can, like, literally grab onto and kill. So that's what we do to ourselves as well. So when I was having this conversation, right, and it came to epiphany because I didn't even read the lesson last night. I just read it today, which was so ironic, right? You start to see the person that can forgive all your sins, right? So it's this one person, is a family friend, right? And it takes away the nails which pierce your own and lift the crown of thorns which you have placed on your bleeding head, right? So, something came up last night because, my mother was telling him about a car accident that we had when I was like 1, right? It was like my earliest memory for the longest time. And I remember when I had my samadhi experience, like right afterwards, like I had to release all that, unworthiness of not being able to help out someone that I love, right? Because I remember my mom going into the paramedics, right? The little ambulance, if you want to call it that. And the paramedic was like, "Your mom's going to be okay." Like, I remember those so vividly, like throughout my entire life. And the way she was describing it, like it was so surreal, like that I'm so tempted to actually go to that place and see where that all happened. So, again, she was like bleeding, right? And she was like, it felt like it was like rain. It was like a snowy, sometime in December or January, don't remember. Obviously I don't, right? And she like broke off her foot because like we managed to go like down this ditch and it just like landed like this, and for some miracle we didn't die, right? So, you know, like my mom was very traumatized. She's walked with a limp for the longest time, and it like, you know, it triggered so many things, especially recently with like the 2020 thing, because like I fell through this hole and I felt like I couldn't walk, like I was gonna have this limp. And then I go back to jiu-jitsu because I was just like tempted, and then I almost popped my knee on the other side, and I'm like, man. And like, you know, like through miracles, right, I'm still able to walk and like still be an athlete, right? And it's like these small things that you're just very grateful for, because as I'm starting to understand like what 162 means is that I am as God created me, okay? Like I am very imperfect, right? I don't have all the answers. I'm not rich, man. Like I live at home with my parents. Hopefully I'll find an apartment pretty soon. Like I've struggled a lot in my entire life, right? I was an international dating coach and helped hundreds of guys with their own dating lives, and, you know, like haven't been successful in my own, right? In an aspect of like I understand what I'm looking for and like what I bring and offer and communicate, but like I haven't had a long-term relationship in almost 6 years, right? My longest long-term relationship has been 5, and like I learned so much from that. And now that I'm getting into this new relationship, I'm learning so much of like what unconditional love is, right? It's the whole, you can't hold the flower or pluck it because it dies. You have to be able to love no matter what. So when we learn that we are as God created us, right, we're repeating it in different learning stages, right? We're learning the same thing in different levels. So when you teach something to somebody, it's going to resonate at the level that they're at, okay? And what our family friend was trying to tell me is that he was able to drop down to my level and explain it to myself, and then, you know, relate, right? Because I wasn't able to relate to my parents, and that was the difficult part, because he was just like, why is this so difficult for you? And I was just like, I don't know. Like, I just created all these walls, right, to protect myself, because I just felt like my parents didn't accept me for the longest time. And it's not that, like, and, you know, like, our family friend is gay, so I was just, like, you know, trying to compare it to that. And I was just like, you know, like, it's always been difficult for them to kind of understand me. And then because of that, right, it triggers their own insecurities of being parents and stuff like that. So, you know, when we look at 162, I am as God had created me, right? And we repeated this same lesson in 94 and in 110. We start to see that the son became his father's happiness, his love, his completion, right? Who would not be brother to you now, right? Who you, his redeemer, his, who could fail to welcome you in his heart with his loving invitation, eager to unite with one like him in holiness, right? So, you know, he told me something that, like, my father felt like my grandmother didn't give him enough love, that she gave my aunt more love, and then he realized what he was doing, you know, with me, because he does the same thing with my sister. So when we take these moments of sacred words, right, we have to understand what is it that we're trying to see, right? Because we're trying to see this with the eyes of God and the eyes of Christ. So I wanted to you know, tell a couple of things that I learned last night in addition to this, because what I'm starting to learn is that I can't do this alone, man. Like, it's very difficult doing this alone. Like, it's so difficult. Like, I struggle a lot. I really do. Like, I may be the leader, right? Doesn't mean that, you know, what is it? Leaders don't mean that you have followers. Leaders mean that you go first. Yeah, you know, that's the vow that I took, being a bodhisattva, right? For my own enlightenment. And understanding that, you know, I went down this crazy path. I tried a lot of psychedelics and entheogens, and I tried to just break through, and it wouldn't. And every time that I would just let go and surrender to the will of God, that, you know, the higher dimension would just open up, right? I would just have to be in surrendered. I have to empty my vessel and just, like let go of all these grievances. Like I remember I was just like, pretty drunk. And I could just feel all this like tension on my back, and I was just like trying to crack my neck, and it's just crazy, right? So the thing is that what I learned specifically, let's not say we, because now I'm starting to understand that I need help, right? I need help as much as everybody else. We're talking about like mental awareness and stuff like that. This is difficult, man. Like I managed to do all this crazy shit without losing my mind, right? Most people don't make it, right? I have friends that have passed over the years, and because they just couldn't take it. It's just a lot, right? And I'm very sensitive, so I cry almost every day through gratitude and joy, and sometimes through sadness, and I accept that, right? It's just, I am as God created me, so this is what I'm trying to convey to you guys, right? That it's okay, right? It's okay to be this vulnerable, man, because there's somebody out there that's watching this, that's really watching this, right? All of it, and getting to this point and seeing who I really am, and understanding that they can help me or that I can help them, because that's what we're all doing, right? That's what Ram Dass says. We're all walking each other back home, right? Ram Dass said, if you think you're enlightened, try to be, stay a week with your parents, right? So that's basically what happened. So I have to be able to do it on life's times, right? On life's terms and not my own, right? That's wanting control. Why is this so difficult for me? And it's because I have constrained myself, constructed this difficulty, right? And then I'm not humble enough, right? My parents are probably one of the most humble people I know, right? They just do whatever's necessary, right? They just do it. And I'm not humble enough to say that, right? I've failed several times, and I'm not a good loser, right? Even when I lose in jiu-jitsu, sometimes I just get really agitated. I'm just like, and this taught me a lot. It's humbled me a lot. So that's one of the reasons. It teaches me to be nobody, right? It teaches me, let me read this to you guys, because this is what Eckhart Tolle says. Watch any plant or animal, right? Because it's very animalistic, right? We're fighting each other. Let it teach you acceptance of what is. Surrender to the now. Let it teach you being, integrity, to be one, to be real. Let it teach you how to live and how to die, and how to make living and dying not a problem, right? Because every single time that you get choked out, it's basically as if someone is, that's that, right, moment. So it teaches me to be humble, right? I go in the back of the line, my coach, right? Those that exalt themselves are humble, and those that are humble exalt themselves, right? They're respected. So it teaches me a lot, right? It's almost like, right, I didn't learn, right? Because I went down here and I'm trying to teach this, and I'm not coming from the right place, and people don't believe, right? There's less and less people actually listening to me, right? There's hundreds of people, and now it's less. And I have to be more relatable. So that's really it's not because of that, but it's because I want people to know who I am, right? Tell what's going on in this real life rather than my spiritual life, right? Like I can tell you all about my spiritual life and how amazing it is, but I don't really show my real life, okay? That I'm a waiter at the Marietta Diner, and, like off camera, that I try to help at least one or two guys, and, like sometimes I Uber and crazy, right? And people are doing the same thing, and they try to, feign so many things rather than trying to teach, try to show, right? The humility of living and dying. I want too much approval. I know all the right things to say and do, but don't show the struggle, and I don't ask for help. So, moving forward, I want to ask for help. I want to be able to, show my life and the people that are in it, and what I'm learning day to day, not just because I know it, just because I'm learning it. So, I am as God created me. God bless.